All right, guys, today is December the 10th, 2023. Finally received our Juarez Performance differential for our shop car, and just figured I'd share this with you real quick and talk about it a little bit. Starting to be a lot of options, differentials for these YXZs on the market. I've seen them all in person and I've seen them work, and decided to go with this one. This guy, his name's Cole Juarez, that owns this company, is very meticulous and just a genuinely nice person who has worked very hard to bring this piece to market. There's not very many of these yet, so this is still kind of new, but we're going to go ahead and put it in our car and run it and see what we can do with it. But I wanted to showcase the quality of this thing. I mean, a lot of people see this online and think, man, that's it's a chunk of money, which it is, but you are really getting what you pay for, just in the quality of the part here. I don't know, our experience with machining, just even some relatively simple parts, the cost on that gets very expensive, and this is a lot of very complex parts, and the machine finish is unbelievable. I mean, let me get in here. You can probably see the reflection of my camera, and that is not polished. That's just how nice the finish work is on this aluminum part. I had him leave mine raw. We only run glamis sand dunes, so I like the look of raw billet. It really shows off the workmanship. So I'll talk a little bit about what this is. This is obviously a Dana 30 ring and pinion differential for your YXZ. There's a few versions of Dana 30 differentials out there. This is Cole's take on it, and we'll talk a little bit about what he has done that's a little bit different. So we can start in the front. Two things that are different here. And obviously this drive flange is not a yoke for a standard Dana 30. He makes this part. I forget the grade of stainless steel that this is, but this is a heavy duty stainless steel, so it's not going to rust. He worked on this in conjunction with Avenger, so they make this custom drive line setup for this diff, which is part of his kit. That gives you a CV on the front instead of a U-joint, which I like. These Avengers work really good. I wouldn't, it's a gray area if this Avenger holds up to like a 800 horsepower two-step launch on a drag car, but for a general user like myself, 500 horsepower dune car, cruising around, this has got the most longevity in it, because obviously you got grease in here. This misalignment with the driveline is always accounted for with the CV. And it's just a long longevity thing. These Avenger drive shafts in the standard configuration, go forever without really any issues. Something he's done different here. He worked with Avenger on this, so you can see the diameter of the output shaft on this thing is massive. So hypothetically, this thing is good to go for 700 horsepower, 800 horsepower launch, kind of to be determined. They are also manufacturing the input spline. I don't remember, I believe this is a 300M part. This is special for this drive shaft, different than what you're getting on your normal Avenger drive shaft. Again, something that's integrated into this kit. The tube, I don't remember the tube material. The thickness of this tube is a little bit different. Like, this is a custom spec part specifically for this kit. So Cole's been a little bit slow getting these out of the gate, but there's a lot of moving pieces, no pun intended, with other manufacturers and everybody involved with assembling, bringing this unit to market. So the thing that stands out immediately, obviously the aesthetic value. It's gorgeous. We have stainless hardware in the case. Excuse me. getting over a cold here. It's all ARP 12-point fasteners for everything. Everything that's load bearing, you know, ARP. So real high-end hardware. You guys gotta, I apologize, I gotta get a drink of water here. I'm getting over a cold my kids gave me. Next thing that you see is this front, I'd call this the yoke, which is supporting the front pinion of this monster. He's got this really trick billet, I mean fancy, like look at the tool paths in this thing, obviously a lot of aesthetic value. Bracket that bolts to your two frame uprights where they kind of come together for your shock tower. That supports this diff in a rotational force. So, you know, it's resting on this bracket essentially. Factory, you have this bolt hole and this bolt hole, and then you have this rear bracket, which gives you your third mounting point. And when you launch the car, wheels turning this way, differential wants to go that way. In an extreme instance, you know, you'll rip these tabs out of the frame on a high horsepower car. You know, this Yamaha factory sheet metal, I want to say, is somewhere between 50 and 90 thousandths of thickness. It's pretty thin. I mean, it's designed in a way to carry the load, but when you're 400% more horsepower than stock, or, you know, 800% more horsepower than stock, you know, then those tabs are well outside of the range of what the OE designed them to do. So he's gone a step above and made this really nice carrier bracket. It does have, probably hard to see it in here, but yeah, you can't see it. It's got misalignment adjustment because all of these frames, depending on what factory they came out of and, you know, what person did it that day or whatever, there's some variances here in this weldment. So this gives you adjustment basically to clamp it in and then lock everything down, which is super trick. This is part of the new generation of this differential. Pretty excited to get this in the car and, you know, see what it looks like. Rotate this with one hand. So same thing with this back bracket. You know, this is a one-piece billet aluminum beast of a bracket. Just amazing, honestly. And you see all this high dollar. This is not cheap 17.4 stainless. This is like the good stuff. ARP fasteners, you know, you got stainless 12 points for the rear. Very, very well thought out. You know, on the side here, here's my fill I'd call it the fill plug, but it's more of an inspection plug. This is your fill level plug, similar to what you'd have on an OE diff. This case is pretty big. We'll get a shot from the top. So you can see this is the width of the frame here. He's utilized all the free space outboard of this thing pretty well, which gives it a lot of oil capacity. And that was one of the things that I liked about this one better than some of the competition. You know, I ran a Packard billet differential for, what do they have that thing for, a couple years, a couple thousand miles. That thing would get really, really, really hot. And the only reason I didn't blow it up is because I was aware of how hot it was getting. So I would stop the car, let everything cool off, you know, for half hour, 45 minutes, and then we'd pick up where we left off. But when you have actually this much mass and this much fluid capacity, you know, takes a lot longer to get that fluid up, you know, above operating temperature. So I think that's a plus. You know, the downside of having more fluid in here is you got more parasitic drag on the gear that's running through that liquid. That's a loss that I'm willing to, you know, take in the instance that it's going to make for just a more reliable, fun vehicle that I can run for longer intervals. So, you know, that's been our goal with this car from day one. We're not building a drag car. We're trying to build a fast, purpose-built, general use car, you know, sand dune car, something that we can go use for a week straight every day, and, you know, put 700 miles on it in a trip if we want to, you know, at 400 to 500 horsepower the whole time. So, you know, that's what we've been striving towards. This piece here is definitely a big piece of that equation. Should definitely I see zero reason why it's not up to the task. So it's a Dana 30 gear set, you know, similar to what everybody else is using. He does do some proprietary treatment to the gear sets before he puts them in, which I don't remember all the information on that, so I'm not gonna volunteer it. It might be worth a phone call to Cole, you know, if you want to get some more insight on what's actually done. I like his way that they set the oh man, my brain is not working today. How they set the lash on these bearings, so you know these are threaded in inserts. There's actually 3 pieces here. So the inner piece is aluminum. Then you have this stainless steel insert, which is held in with these flathead. Actually look like Torx screws. They're not even. So that's a really high-end fastener. And basically the adjustment is set here to put the load on the tapered bearing in there. And then the way he's done this being a star, and then you have this serrated washer in the middle of it. That's what actually locks it in. So you set it to your position you want it in, and then you insert this ring and put these Torx fasteners in here. That locks it all into place, and it looks amazing. So, you know, props on the aesthetic value of this thing. I know I've said that about 100 times, but functionality and form, you know, when you're buying this thing and you're building this kind of a car, you're obviously building some of it for the look. I mean, I'm very much on board with that. You won't find a nicer looking part, that's for sure. So what else? You know, it's got, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Beast, full-size drain plug at the bottom, which is cool for servicing. I think I already said it holds about a quart of fluid. These are just your vent ports, quarter MPT, top and side, which will go to probably a breather can. He said I could just tee them together and, you know, put a vent filter on it. You're not getting any fluid coming out of there, but I don't know. Well, to be determined. I'll probably do just a 1/4 inch, probably -6 line for the breathers. And then back to this amazing front carrier bracket and the Avenger drive line. And that's pretty much what you're getting in this setup when you buy one of these. So our next video, my car is in a million pieces. I'm changing the suspension, changing some stuff up on the turbo system. So right now it is basically a chassis with an engine in it. But I'm gonna put this this differential and drive line in it here real soon. And, you know, I'll do another video of it in the car and how everything fits in there and works out. Oh, one other key point from an engineering perspective. So this differential, the center line of the ring gear, I believe is 200 thousandths of an inch higher. So we'll just call that roughly a 1/4 of an inch higher than stock. And the reason they did that was because on a Dana gear set, you know, your pinion comes in and meshes the side of the gear, not the middle of the gear like your OEM Yamaha differential does. So OEM, you know, your pinion is basically in line with the spool. Dana, you have a little bit of an offset. So they raised it 200 here, and I forget how much it drops it here, but it's not very much in the front, which is kind of key for driveline alignment. You know, if you kept this in the same spot and you drop this pinion all the way down, I don't remember the exact number. It's like maybe 5/8 of an inch or something overall of spread difference between the two. So over stock, you know, then this thing is pretty low. So you have more angle on your drive shaft coming in here, and you have more angle on the shaft going into the transmission, which can potentially be an issue. I don't know if it would be or not. I don't really know how everything is supported inside of the transmission. I know they do, actually this shaft's custom, but you can see they put a spherical spline on this input spline, so that, you know, that allows for a little bit of misalignment in that coupler that is engaging this. But I think that is Don't quote me, but I think this one is special for that. I know the OE has a little bit, but I think they add a little bit more to this one for that reason. But I think that's a good way to do it. And then the other thing is you don't have any material sticking out of the bottom of the car, so you could hypothetically put a skid plate back on the bottom of this if you wanted to, underneath either the factory piece or an aftermarket piece, which is something some of you guys are going to want that are doing, desert racing or rock type activities. You want to protect that. You want to protect this nice, shiny, amazing aluminum machine work here. So anyway, just figured I'd show it off. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye.